Today, we're talking about a high school that replaced detention with hiking outdoors. Most people think when kids misbehave, the solution is punishment. We gotta sit them down longer, keep them in a classroom, and make them learn their lesson. But what if that's actually the problem? What if the kids getting in trouble don't need more structure? They need the exact opposite. Because one high school in Maine tried something completely different, and it might change how we think about education entirely. And I'm going to break down what they did, why it works, and why this might be the fix for a problem that we've been getting wrong for decades. Here's the reality. Detention, at its core, is built on a simple idea. If a kid doesn't like school, we'll give them more of it. But think about that for a second. If a student is already struggling to sit still, focus, or engage in a structured indoor environment, forcing them into more of that same environment doesn't solve anything. It actually makes it way worse. Instead of addressing what's really going on, whether that's excess energy, stress, frustration, or disengagement, we double down on the exact conditions causing the issue in the first place. So this school in Maine flipped the whole idea. At Morse High School, students who earn detention are given a choice. They can either sit in a classroom for 3 hours doing nothing, or they can go on a 3.5-mile hike with a school counselor. And this isn't just a casual walk. During the hike, they talk and they reflect, and sometimes they read nature poetry. The counselor listens to them and gets to know them and understands what's actually happening in their lives. It's still a consequence, it still requires effort, but it's completely different in how it works. What's interesting is that some students said that the hike still felt like punishment. It wasn't easy. They still had to exert themselves. They had to walk, breathe hard, and push through it. But at the same time, it gave them something that the detention never could. It gave them space to think, and it gave them a sense of accomplishment, and it gave them someone who was actually listening to them. And that's where this gets really powerful, because when you combine movement, nature, and conversation, something begins to shift. When kids move their bodies, they regulate their emotions. When they're outside, their stress levels drop. And when they're in a more relaxed, open environment, they are more likely to talk about what's really going on. Instead of suppressing behavior, this approach actually processes it. Instead of saying, sit there and think about what you did, it creates an environment where they naturally start to understand why it happened in the first place. And zooming out, this points to a much bigger issue. Kids today are spending far less time outside than they used to. There's less recess, less unstructured play, and in many cases, fewer opportunities for things like outdoor school. Everything has become more structured, more scheduled, more indoors. But not every kid is wired to thrive in that kind of environment. Some kids need movement. In fact, most kids need movement. Maybe all kids need movement. Some need space. Some need a break from the constant structure in order to function well within it. So when those kids act out, we label it as bad behavior. But what if it's not? What if it's just a mismatch between the kid and the environment? Because a lot of students who end up in tension aren't bad kids. I know, I was one of them. They're just kids who don't fit neatly into a system that expects everyone to learn and behave the same way. And when that system doesn't work for them, they push back. Programs like this don't remove consequences. they transform them. They take something that was purely punitive and turn it into something that actually helps them. And in some cases, students who started these hiking detentions ended up joining the school's outdoor club and choosing to go on hikes even when they didn't have to. That's a completely different trajectory than what detention usually creates. So maybe the real takeaway here is this: the solution to misbehavior isn't always more discipline. Sometimes it's a better environment. Sometimes it's movement, nature, and real human connection. And if that's true, then maybe the way we've been approaching this for years isn't just ineffective, it's backwards. And if this idea resonates with you, if you've ever noticed that your best thinking doesn't happen sitting at a desk, but when you're out walking, moving, or outside, that's something I explore a lot deeper over at walkprofits.com. Because sometimes the biggest breakthroughs don't happen when you're forcing focus. They happen when you step away and give your mind the space it actually needs. Head on over to walkprofits.com and see what we've been building and how you can actually get paid for your daily walks.